started. Hello, everyone. This is David Moeller. Welcome to a meeting of the Old Colony Planning MPO. Consistent with the Governor Baker's rules over COVID, we are having this meeting virtually. Charlie, can you please call the roll? Oh, wait,
Yes.
I'll read this first, Charlie. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. If you would like these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833, extension 202. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to the federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is included on this meeting's agenda, is posted in the conference room, and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website at www.ocpcrpa.org. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833, extension 202 for more information. Thank you. Now, Charlie, go ahead and call the roll.
Okay, so mascot, David Moeller.
Here.
Mascot, Bob Wheeler, District 5. Brockton Area Transit, Michael Lambert.
Here.
Old Colony Planning Council, Mary Waldron.
Here.
Whitman, Dan Salvucci.
Here.
Plymouth, Lee Hartman.
Present.
West Bridgewater, Meredith Anderson.
Here.
And Brockton.
Yes, sorry, I'm here.
Danielle Lippman, Brockton. Great. So we have a quorum. All 8 signatories are present.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
My name's Christine Quinn. I'm the director of the Avon Council on Aging.
Hi,
I
Christine,
received
welcome.
an invitation.
Yep.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Okay, Charlie, want to put the next item up on the agenda? Now is the time for public comment. If anyone from the public would like to comment at this time, please use the raise hand function, which is you can find under participants, and we will call on you. Or I believe you can dial *9 on your phone if you're calling by phone. Are there any public comments at this time? Seeing none, if you have a comment during the meeting, please raise your hand and we will call on you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of October 20th, 2020. Can I get a motion and a second from an MPO member to approve? And please state your name when you make your motion.
Dan Salvucci from Whitman, motion.
Lee Hartman, Plymouth, second.
Thank you. Motion having been made and second. Are there any changes, corrections, suggestions, or edits? Seeing and hearing none, Charlie, please call the roll.
Yes, mascot, David Moeller.
Yes.
Mascot, Bob Wheeler.
Yes.
Old Colony Planning Council, Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit, Michael Lambert.
Yes.
Town of Plymouth, Lee Hartman.
Yes.
City of Brockton, Danielle Lippman.
Yes,
Town of West Bridgewater, Meredith Anderson.
Yes.
Town of Whitman, Danielle Salvucci.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Charlie. This item on the agenda is a report from the Brockton Area Transit. Mike?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing too much of significance to report. We continue to provide regular service according to our the schedule that has been in place for the past few months, with additional service as needed in order to allow for spacing on the vehicles and safe transportation. One significant announcement we have is that we have opened a cafe in the BAT Center, which serves food outside via service windows. But so now we have hot chocolate and coffee to keep people warm as they wait over the winter for the bus.
That's nice. Any questions, Mike?
Just one quick, I'm sorry, Mike, just to confirm, it's CJ Soul Food, is that, am I correct in the vendor?
Yep, C&J Soul Foods. Yep, who you may be familiar with from the Brockton Farmers Market.
Yes, correct, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, Mike.
So if I may Before we go to the next agenda item, under public comments, may we just go back? I meant to introduce select person Meredith Anderson from West Bridgewater, the newly elected selectman to represent communities under a population of 14,000 on the Old Colony MPO. Welcome to Meredith.
Thank you, Charlie. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you guys all very much. Very exciting.
Glad to have you. Next item on the agenda is performance-based planning and Brockton Area Transit Public Transit Agency Safety Plan and Transit Safety Performance Targets. Charlie, is this you or someone else?
This is a tandem between Mike Lambert and myself. I was just going to do a quick intro, then defer to Mike Lambert.
Okay.
So the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan is a requirement of the FAST Act, and Brockton Area Transit has completed its safety plan and presented it to their advisory board this past September, and it was approved. So within 180 days of the plan's approval, the MPO itself has to be provided and adopt the transit safety targets for their region. And then going forward, the transit safety targets have to be reflected in the TIP, in the long range plans, and et cetera. So Brockton Area Transit in mid-September relayed their safety plan to the Old Colony Planning Council. So this is an item before the MPO today as an action item, and we have the actual transit safety targets from the BATS safety plan listed here on your screen. So at this point, I'll defer to Michael Lambert.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Chair. Yeah, so this, as mentioned, is a result of a multi-year effort with all of the RTAs in the Commonwealth and MassDOT to develop a plan in accordance with the federal regulations that not only ensures commitment to the highest possible safety targets, but also a system for monitoring and then continuously improving safety programs. Again, not just at BAT or in the Commonwealth, but across the entire country. MassDOT is in charge of approving these plans along with the local boards, and then, as Charlie mentioned, the targets with their submission to the MPO. And MassDOT did a very smart thing. Instead of getting 15 different plans or 16 different plans to review, MassDOT went out and hired a consultant that was very familiar with the safety plan and safety rule, and had that consultant develop basically the framework for each of the RTAs across the Commonwealth. And then we just filled in our individual targets. And so that really made for a very smooth process wherein, the consultant was our main point of contact to FTA and helped make sure that we had all the answers to the questions we had, and made sure that the plans are consistent across the Commonwealth. This is the result of a lot of hard work, but it is work that I think was done very strategically and has produced a strong document that has very strategically developed targets, much like our asset management plan that you're familiar with, that are designed to, again, not only ensure safe operation, but also provide a template for monitoring and then continuously improving upon those targets. So I would appreciate the MPO's support for the targets and for the plan today.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions of Mike or Charlie before we take motion? Seeing none, can we get a motion in a second to approve? Is it going out for release, or is this just final approval, Charlie?
A final approval, please.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve as presented today? And please, when you make the motion or the second, state your name for the record.
Mary Waldron, Old Colony Planning Council.
Is there a second?
Lee
Second.
Hartman, Plymouth, second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Charlie, please call the roll.
Yes, David Moeller, MassDOT.
Yes.
MassDOT, Bob Wheeler.
Yes.
Plymouth, Lee Hartman.
Yes.
Brockton, Danielle Lippman.
Yes.
West Bridgewater, Meredith Anderson.
Yes.
Whitman, Danielle Salvucci,
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit, Michael Lambert,
Yes.
Old Colony Planning Council, Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. What's next on our agenda?
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So before the MPO today for review and releases tip of amendment number 1, and there are 2 projects in the Brockton area transit that being added to the tip, and they're on your screen. The first is to buy 4 40-foot replacement buses. Total cost is $2.2 million. And the second project is to add a acquisition of miscellaneous support equipment, which includes automatic passenger counters and automatic vehicle locators. And the total price for that project is $490,000. This is the actual tip spreadsheet for your information, and the projects are highlighted in green. The first is 5339 and the other is non-federal. And basically that's, Mike or Glenn have additional support information to add, but that's the actual amendment before the MPO today for review and potential release to a 21-day public comment period. Following the public comment period, the MPO will review public comments and consider any revisions to this tip amendment, and then consider an endorsement at your next meeting.
Thank you, Charlie. Any questions for Charlie or the RTA? Hearing none, can I get a motion and a second to release for a 21-day public review process? And please, for the record, state your name when you make the motions.
Motion by Dan Salvucci, Whitman.
Is there a second?
Second, Mary Anderson, West Bridgewater.
Thank you. Motion having been made and seconded. Charlie, please call the roll.
Yes, MassDOT, David Moeller.
Yes.
MassDOT, Bob Wheeler.
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit, Michael Lambert.
Yes.
Old Colony Planning Council, Mary Waldron.
Yes.
Plymouth, Lee Hartman.
Yes.
Brockton, Danielle Lippman.
Yes.
West Bridgewater, Mary Anderson.
Yes.
Whitman, Danielle Salvucci.
Yes.
Roll call vote is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. What's next on our agenda? This is, Charlie, is this you going to talk about this?
Oh, well, I figured it perhaps be a tandem between me and Ben and you, and
Okay.
anybody else that wants to chime in is.
All right, Charlie, you go first.
Okay. So on your screen, you see an item called MBTA Forging Ahead Schedule Planning and Service Impacts, Public Meetings. As you may have seen in the news, on TV or on the internet, the MBTA is experiencing about a reduction of about 75% total ridership across its system. So the MBTA, in order to respond to this and fill some pending budget gaps in the upcoming year, has developed some potential service adjustments, and it's across multiple modes: ferry, commuter rail, bus, etc. And what they're aiming at is to look at the lower performing elements of their system, and then to reduce those, or in the case of the ferry service, eliminate that until further notice, until post-pandemic recovery. There are a multitude of public meetings. There's a website available for more information. We have on a screen and on your website several upcoming meetings. The closest one in our region, though they're all virtual, is November 23rd, and the second is November 30th. They're at 6 p.m. There'll be a presentation. There's an opportunity to provide public comment. But in particular to this region, if I may go to this screen, proposed changes to commuter rail service, just highlight some of the items here. Proposed to start mostly in May 21. The MBTA would stop all service after 9 p.m. on commuter rail, stop all weekend service, and then to also decrease weekday peak and some midday service. And then here, in particular to the Old Colony region, is the closure of the Plymouth station. We note that the Plymouth Kingston line comes down and one branch goes to Kingston Station. The other branch goes to Plymouth Station. There's been a lot of development in and around the Plymouth Station, transit-oriented development and the like. So that's of concern to the Old Colony region. And then on the bus system, softball service after midnight, reduced frequency, and then reduced frequency on non-essential routes, etc. The MBTA is providing multiple venues to provide public comment. We have invited or requested that the MBTA come to our Joint Transportation Committee on December 3rd and provide a presentation and entertain public comments at their December 3rd meeting. Staff at OCPC will be attending at least one of the public comment meetings coming up. So I point out that at this point, these are only proposals, and so that's a brief introduction. I defer to Maston if they would like to add anything.
I don't think I have anything to add, Charlie, but we'd be happy to take questions if people have questions. As always, Charlie did a great job covering all the salient details. Is there any questions from the MPO members at this time? And I would say we absolutely encourage people to attend the public meetings if you're available. Mr. Salvucci.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. I'm on MBTA Advisory Board. We had a meeting and we'll be having another meeting in a couple of weeks. One thing, the concern that we had that a lot of times back in the old days when we had a little bit of power, it was concerned that whenever the MBTA was running a deficit, they would look at possibly selling off land that they may have to offset the deficit and pay for it. And that's one-time money for an ongoing expense, which we always voted against. It's just poor workmanship on that part. People need to understand, yes, they may be losing some of the services, but the people aren't asking for it as much as they used to. And the MBTA has to do whatever it can to maintain what service they can provide and not continue to get into a deficit. I know that there's been some retaliation down at the Hingham site as far as the boats. But the ridership has been very poor. I'm hearing that there's maybe 5 or 6 passengers on those ships, and it just doesn't pay for itself. And understand that the MBTA is not in to make money. It's in to maintain a level so that it doesn't cost the taxpayers of the state of Massachusetts and the federal government continuously more and more and more. So what I'm saying is I'm hoping that ridership will understand what's going on and have faith that when ridership goes up again, I'm quite sure the MBTA will go back to its normal schedule and they will service their customers as best they can. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from MPO members at this time? Seeing and hearing none, Charlie, go to the next agenda item. Public participation plan update is issued, Charlie,
No, it's Paul Chenard.
whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to go and give everyone an update on our virtual, our Old Colony public participation plan, our virtual public meetings, and our measure of effectiveness report. As everyone knows, during the time of COVID, we have transitioned to a virtual public meeting platform, which is going quite well. Our public participation has been growing in regards to the numbers of people that attend. So that's quite an interesting outcome, and also very welcome, because in the past, sometimes depending on the time of day and the day of the week, it was hard to get public participation in a lot of our meetings and comments. So this has been a very nice outcome. The measure of effectiveness report that we are putting together is something that came out of our federal review, in that we should track in more detail our public outreach efforts, so that way we can better understand which efforts are working the best and maybe which efforts are producing the outcomes we hope to see. And so, taking that recommendation, we have developed this measure of effectiveness report, which we'll be submitting at the end of next month. And it will track where available, because not like, for example, in virtual public meetings, we don't have 5 years worth of data, but looking back 5 years worth of public participation, attendance, and viewing of social media interactions and stuff of that nature to see how that has been producing greater public participation. So all in an effort just to get more people involved, to engage those who may come from EJ populations, so environmental justice populations, and really bring everyone into the fold and let them know how they can be engaged in the planning process.
Excellent, Paul. Any questions
Thank you,
for
Mr.
Paul?
Chair.
Seeing none. Charlie, this isn't not an action item, is it?
It is not, just an information.
Excellent. Good work, Paul. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is updates on administrative matters and other business. Charlie, is this you or someone at MassDOT going to talk about shared winter streets and spaces?
So if somebody from MassDOT would like to take this one, we have a nice summary here for you. Yeah, I'll lead it off. Hey, it worked so well the first time. They thought they'd do it again, and this time it's called MassDOT Shared Winter Streets and Spaces. So this is a grant program for adaptation to COVID-19, focusing on facilitating outdoor activities and winter programming by creating safe spaces for people of all ages and abilities to walk, bike, eat, shop, and play, and enjoy community events. There will be 4 rounds this time around, and there are several types of eligible projects. The first is Main Streets. Second is Reimagine Streets. Next is Better Buses. Next is Shared Mobility. And last but not least, we thought this was a really nice element of the program is making the pilots permanent. So it's not just a temporary adaptation. It's taking what worked well the first time around for your adaptation and then making it permanent as part of your infrastructure or way of doing business or activity within your area. So as you can see here on the screen, there'll be 4 grant rounds, and it'll be done on a rolling basis. And MassDOT's provided a nice website with a lot of information and how to apply for the program. And I believe Plymouth in the last go around was a successful applicant, and they had the lane closure on Main Street and it was used for outdoor dining. So all in all, it was successful in the town of Plymouth. So
Yeah, and again, we would strongly encourage cities and towns to apply for this money. A lot of really interesting things got done, and we'd like to keep, as Charlie said, keep progress flowing. Any questions?
No, I'd like to just, if we could look at the chat button. I know Rob May from Brockton is on. He just made a comment for a previous item on the chat. If we could just refer to that, please.
Yes. Can everybody see the chat function, or do you want me to read Rob's comment now? Rob's comment is, if we have to have MBTA service rail cuts, I would like to see them listed as temporary cuts, which will be restored automatically at a date certain. We have a history of cutting and not restoring. And I think that comment should be made to the FMCB or to during a virtual meeting, because that is an MBTA budget issue that the MPO really has no control over.
And if OCPC is commenting on the services, I think that'd be a great one to come on behalf of OCPC for all of us. If you're coming.
We'll include that into our letter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Charlie. So next item on the agenda. Our next meeting is December 15th, back at 10 a.m. And then we'll have one in January if need be. But we will have the one in December because we have a tip amendment out on the street for public review and comment. Any other business to come before the MPO at this time? Seeing and hearing none, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn, and please state your name for the record?
Mary Waldron, Old Colony Planning Council, and just want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday, at least for the Thanksgiving. So that's my motion.
Thank you. Mary moves we adjourn and have a happy Thanksgiving. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Dan Salvucci Whitman.
Thank you. Without objection, we are adjourned. And everybody have a great and safe holiday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You